You don't notice it at first. The morning looks the same, clean, gold, ordinary. You start the car, back out of the driveway. The radio hums. The day is just beginning. Then it happens. A slice of sunlight cuts through the windshield and hits your eyes. You blink, once, twice. It's not pain, exactly, more like your eyes suddenly forgot how to trust the light. You pull the visor down. The light slips through anyway, burning white against the dashboard. You squint harder. The road ahead blurs for half a second, the white line, the curve, the mirror. Everything used to look crisp, predictable. Now it feels unstable. You tell yourself it's fine. Maybe it's just a stronger sun today. But deep down, something else rises, a quiet unease. Because you've seen this before, haven't you? Your mother, or a friend, once said, "I can't drive in the morning anymore. The light hurts my eyes." You never understood what she meant, until now. At the stoplight, you look around. People in other cars check their phones, sip coffee, smile at traffic. No one's flinching from the light. Just you. You grip the wheel tighter, pretending not to care. But that tiny thought pushes through. Is this how it begins? Not blindness. Not disease. Something smaller, quieter, a slow betrayal you can't see happening. The kind where the world doesn't fade all at once. Just gets a little harder to look at every day. The green light flashes. You drive again. But the glare follows, bouncing off the hood of the car ahead. Flashing off glass windows, off chrome signs. As if the city itself decided to test your limits. Your right eye waters. You blink it away, but your focus doesn't come back right away. The edges of things shimmer, melt, then return, too bright, too sharp. You used to love this time of day. The hour when the world felt most alive. Now, you wish for clouds. You glance at yourself in the mirror. There's a strange expression, half frown, half defense. It's not vanity. It's fear. The kind that doesn't make you scream. Just quietly rearranges how you trust your own body. Because light isn't supposed to hurt. It's supposed to guide, to reveal. But what if one morning, it stops being your ally? What if it starts showing you what's changing, not outside, but inside? You think of excuses. Too little sleep. Too much screen time. Maybe you just need new sunglasses. But even as you say it to yourself, you know it's not that simple. Something has shifted, not in the sun, but in you. At the next red light, you rest your hands on the steering wheel and look straight ahead. The glare paints everything white for a moment. The trees, the cars, the crosswalk. As if the world is made of glass. And in that flash, you feel a tiny pulse of panic. Because this is how it starts, isn't it? Not with darkness. With too much light. You blink again. The world settles back into color. But it's different now, as if every ray of sunlight carries a message you're not ready to hear. The drive feels longer than usual. When you finally pull into the market lot, the relief is quiet but sharp. You turn off the engine and sit there, eyes half closed. Listening to your own breathing and the ticking of the car cooling down. No one would notice anything wrong if they looked at you right now. But you know something has changed. The morning isn't innocent anymore. It's testing you, gently, persistently, asking the question you don't want to answer. When did the light stop waking you up? And start making you afraid to open your eyes? That light you fought against this morning, it wasn't stronger than usual. It was your eyes asking for more time to adapt. Researchers at Harvard Medical School call it delayed light adaptation. After 55, the lens inside your eye begins to thicken and yellow slightly, a quiet, natural shift. It filters light differently, especially the blue wavelengths that dominate morning sunlight. The result, glare feels sharper, colors wash out faster, focus takes longer to return. It's not failure. It's biology slowing down to protect you. Inside your retina, millions of photoreceptor cells, rods and cones, once snapped open instantly to catch the day's first light. Now, they respond more carefully, more slowly. Think of it as a conversation that once shouted but now prefers a whisper. The trouble is, the world around you hasn't slowed down with it. Traffic lights still flash, phones still glow, headlines still demand to be read. You're living in a world built for young eyes, bright screens, white LEDs, polished dashboards. The modern world is louder in light than your biology remembers. A Mayo Clinic review found that over 60% of adults over 55 experience heightened glare sensitivity during early daylight hours. The phenomenon isn't just about eyesight, it's about rhythm. Light is the master clock of the body. When it hits your eyes, it travels along a direct nerve line to the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, your inner timekeeper. That signal tells your brain, wake up, release cortisol, start the day. But what happens when the signal comes too strong, too fast? Your pupils tighten before your mind wakes up. Your body feels alert before it's ready. It's like being pulled out of sleep by a shout instead of a touch. That tension is what you felt behind the wheel. Not danger, misalignment. Your body and the light were out of sync by just a few seconds. Enough to make you squint, hesitate, doubt yourself. Dr. Ann Summers, a neuro-ophthalmologist at Johns Hopkins, describes it this way. Aging eyes aren't failing, they're recalibrating. The problem is the world rarely gives them time to adjust. For years, doctors treated glare as a nuisance, something solved with darker lenses or brighter lamps. But newer studies see it differently. Glare is feedback. Your body's way of saying, I need gentler light, not less of it. In one 2022 study, volunteers aged 55 to 70 were exposed to natural morning light for just 15 minutes a day. Over 8 weeks, not only did glare sensitivity drop by 24%, but participants reported feeling calmer, more awake, more in rhythm. Their eyes weren't just adapting, their minds were. Why? Because light doesn't only pass through your eyes. It passes through your mood, your hormones, your sense of time. When that cycle breaks, everything feels slightly off, sleep, focus, even confidence. You start doubting the simple act of seeing clearly. And so the story of your eyes isn't just medical. It's emotional. It's about trust, trust that your body still knows how to meet the morning, even if it needs a few extra seconds. Imagine this. You wake up and open the curtains. Instead of being attacked by light, you give your eyes a moment, 10, maybe 15 seconds, to breathe. That tiny pause lets your retina adjust, your brain sync, your body wake gently. It's small, invisible, but powerful. Behavioral scientists call this environmental pacing. It's the idea that aging well isn't about resisting change, it's about matching pace with your biology. Your body slows because it's trying to protect you from a world that won't. So when you feel that sting of light, that half second of blur, it isn't a warning sign of weakness. It's the body's invitation, let me catch up. There's something deeply human about that. Because it's not just your eyes adjusting to light, it's you learning how to see again, with honesty, not urgency. And once you understand that, you start to notice patterns everywhere. The office worker who sits by the window but never looks outside. The retiree who reads on a tablet under cold LED light. The early walker who checks her phone between steps. All of them are surrounded by light, yet starved of its gentler kind. Science can measure the wavelength, the glare index, the cellular aging of the retina. But it can't measure the moment when someone finally stops fighting the light. When they turn their face toward it, unafraid, and simply let their eyes adjust. That's not data. That's dignity. Maybe that's what aging really is, not a loss of sharpness, but a gain of honesty. A new way of seeing, one that doesn't rush to prove strength, but learns to respect limits. So the next time you squint against the sun, don't ask what's wrong with your eyes. Ask what your eyes are trying to tell you. Because research may describe the process. But only you can decide whether to keep fighting the light. Or to finally learn how to meet it halfway. They used to think they knew their bodies. Every reaction, every signal, every limit. But both of them, one in a hospital, one on the highway, learned that understanding isn't the same as listening. 1. Dr. Elaine Morris, 59, Internal Medicine, Illinois. For 30 years, Elaine lived under fluorescent light. It hummed above her through night shifts, ward rounds, and ICU alarms, an artificial sun that never slept. She believed in control, in protocols, charts, precision. The lights were part of that order, steady and sterile. Until one night, they turned against her. It started small. The letters on the chart blurred for a second. She blinked. Then again. Her eyes burned, but the burning didn't stop when she closed them. By morning, she couldn't read the medication labels without tilting her head, searching for an angle where the glare didn't sting. I thought I was tired, she said later. But the fatigue never left. It followed me, even on my days off. She visited an ophthalmologist. The diagnosis was simple, almost mundane: phototoxic stress and early lens opacity. Aging, he said gently. Nothing unusual. But for Elaine, it felt like betrayal. How could the light she worked under for decades, the light that illuminated her patients' lives, now begin to erode her own vision? She went home that evening and did what doctors do when they can't accept simple answers: she researched. She found studies from the American Academy of Ophthalmology, linking prolonged exposure to artificial hospital lighting with chronic eye strain and circadian disruption. Then she read something that stayed with her. Artificial light maintains alertness at the cost of restoration. That line pierced her. She realized she'd built a life on alertness, always awake, always responsible, never pausing long enough for restoration. So she began to experiment. During her 12-hour shifts, she started taking 10-minute breaks by the window in the staff lounge. No screens, no charts, just daylight. The first few days, it felt indulgent. Unproductive. But by the second week, she noticed something strange: her focus returned faster, her mood steadied, the burning behind her eyes faded. Her nurses began doing the same. Eventually, they called it the daylight break. It's funny, she said once, smiling. We used to joke that patients needed light therapy. Turns out, we did too. Elaine never called it healing. She called it realignment, the body remembering what it means to see the world in its original color. When colleagues asked if she was worried about her eyesight getting worse, she shrugged. I'm not afraid of losing vision. I'm afraid of losing respect for what my eyes are still trying to do: protect me. 2. Hector Ruiz, 61, long-haul truck driver, New Mexico. Hector's world was the open road. He'd driven trucks for 30 years, carrying everything from groceries to steel beams, watching the sun rise over 100 different states. The morning was his favorite time: empty roads, the scent of diesel and asphalt, the sky unfolding like a film. But one dawn 2 years ago, the light changed. Not the sky, his sight. The glare from the east hit the pavement, bounced up, and seemed to explode inside his windshield. He blinked hard. The lines on the road vanished in a flood of white. He slowed down, heart hammering, afraid he'd drift. He made it to the next rest stop, breathing fast. He sat for an hour in silence, waiting for the blur to settle. When he told his supervisor, they said maybe he was overtired. When he told his wife, she said maybe he needed new glasses. But when he told himself, in that quiet diner parking lot, he whispered the truth. I'm scared of the light. The optometrist in Albuquerque examined him, then leaned back. Mild macular degeneration, she said. And hypersensitivity to glare. Common at your age. Manageable. Manageable, That word sounded both comforting and cruel. She recommended polarized lenses, scheduled breaks, and regular eye rest. He nodded, but inside, he felt something heavier, shame. Because for a man who made his living watching the road, admitting he couldn't trust his eyes felt like failure. Still, he tried. He changed his routes, leaving a little later, avoiding the full force of dawn. He kept a clean microfiber cloth on the dash, wiping reflections. He learned to rest his eyes at every fuel stop, just staring at the horizon instead of the mirrors. Within weeks, the headaches faded. Within months, so did the fear. I used to think glare was my enemy, he said. Now I think it's my teacher. It shows me when to stop. When you ask him what aging feels like, he grins and taps his sunglasses. Like learning how to drive all over again, just with more respect for the road. 3. What they have in common. Elaine and Hector don't know each other. They will probably never meet. But their stories cross in a quiet truth. Both of them were experts in control, a doctor mastering the body, a driver mastering the road. And both discovered that mastery is not the same as understanding. Elaine learned that light is not neutral, it heals and harms by turns, depending on how you meet it. Hector learned that slowing down doesn't mean giving up, it means finally seeing clearly. They are proof of what aging really teaches. That awareness is not a limitation, it's an act of grace. Their eyes didn't fail. They simply started speaking louder, and this time, they listened. The science explains the how. Their stories show the why. Because what fades with age isn't vision, it's our patience to let vision catch up. The light hasn't changed. Only the way we receive it has. And maybe that's the quiet miracle of it all. The morning doesn't need to be dimmer. We just need to learn how to see it differently. You've heard their stories, the doctor who learned to pause under daylight, the driver who stopped fighting the sun. They didn't find miracles. They found adjustments. Tiny ones. Ordinary ones. But that's where most of the healing begins, not in grand cures, but in moments so small they almost go unnoticed. 1. Give your eyes a morning buffer, before the screens wake up. Every morning, your eyes go from darkness to daylight in seconds. But your cells, the photoreceptors, the retinal ganglion pathways, still live by the rhythm of sunrise, not by the sudden glare of a phone. Research from Harvard's Division of Sleep Medicine found that looking at a bright screen within 2 minutes of waking triggers a cortisol spike that feels like a false emergency. Your body wakes too fast, your vision strains to follow. So start smaller. Don't rush toward brightness. Open the curtains first, not the screen. Let natural light land softly on your eyelids before you demand your eyes to work. 10 slow seconds. That's all it takes. You don't need to meditate. You don't even need to think. Just let the light arrive, not attack. It's not weakness. It's calibration, the way cameras and eyes both need time to find their focus. 2. Practice the 60-second far look. Your eyes were never designed for short distances all day long. They evolved to shift, from horizon to hand, from tree to sky. Now they spend hours locked on words, screens, receipts, labels. Ophthalmologists at Stanford suggest a simple rhythm: every hour, find something 60 feet away and look at it for 60 seconds. A window view. A tree. Even the reflection of clouds in glass. Why? Because distance resets tension. When you look far, the ciliary muscles inside your eyes relax, the same way shoulders drop when you exhale. Do it once, and it feels like nothing. Do it daily, and it feels like breathing again. You may even notice something else: distant colors feel calmer. They're the shades your eyes were made for, slow gradients, soft contrasts. The world beyond arm's reach was meant to steady you. 3. Change the light you live under. We rarely notice how light inside our homes shapes how we feel. Cold white light sharpens thought, yes, but it also heightens anxiety and dries the eye's tear film. Warm light, between 2700 and 3000 Kelvin, supports focus and recovery. Replace one bulb. That's it. Start where you sit the longest, your desk, your kitchen, your reading chair. It's not about dimness, it's about color. Environmental health studies show that older eyes need more total light but less contrast. So instead of adding brightness, add balance. Diffuse light, bounce it off a wall, let it arrive softened. The goal isn't to make your world brighter. It's to make brightness kinder. 4. Relearn the blink. Blinking used to be automatic. Now it's a forgotten rhythm, stolen by screens, by concentration, by the constant pull of attention. You blink less than half as often when reading or scrolling. Every missed blink dries your cornea, thickens the tear film, and makes light scatter unpredictably, the shimmer you sometimes see on bright days. There's no app to fix it. Just remember, slow down the blink. Close fully, hold a heartbeat, open. It's almost invisible to others, but your body knows. Blinking isn't a pause in seeing, it's part of seeing. When you remember that, you start feeling less rushed, even before your mood catches up. 5. Step into gentle sunlight, not for vitamin D, but for dignity. You've heard that morning light regulates your circadian rhythm. That's true. But what no chart explains is how it also repairs your relationship with visibility itself. When you stand outside, even for 5 minutes, your pupils adapt naturally. You blink more, breathe deeper, and unconsciously correct posture, small signs of harmony between your senses and surroundings. A 2023 UCLA study found that people who spent 10 minutes outdoors before 9 a.m. reported fewer episodes of glare discomfort throughout the day. It wasn't their eyes improving, it was their nervous systems calming. So go outside. Not for exercise, not for productivity. Go just to greet the light that your body still understands. Let it hit your face gently, not through glass, not through a lens. Feel the warmth across your eyelids and remember, your eyes aren't failing. They're asking to be included in the morning again. 6. Respect the night you give them. The quality of light you meet in the morning depends on what you did the night before. Scrolling under a cold blue glow until midnight is like feeding caffeine to your visual cortex. Try one simple ritual. Turn off overhead lights an hour before bed, and switch to one lamp. Your body reads that as sunset. It releases melatonin, relaxes your pupils, and primes your eyes for real rest. It's not discipline. It's biology. We are the only species that forgot how to end a day. 7. Look for one detail you missed yesterday. This is not a medical step. It's a human one. Every morning, choose one thing, a reflection on glass, a leaf outside your window, the color of someone's coat, and notice it fully. Let your eyes linger a second longer than necessary. It sounds small, almost sentimental. But neuroscientists studying perception say that mindful seeing increases dopamine activity in the visual cortex, the same pattern linked to curiosity and joy. It's proof that dignity doesn't come from sharper sight. It comes from softer attention. And attention is a habit. Why these habits matter? Because somewhere between the science and the stories, we forget that adaptation is not surrender. Elaine didn't stop working. Hector didn't stop driving. They both just gave light a chance to become an ally again. You don't have to fear the sun. You don't have to dim your world to stay comfortable. You only have to meet it on terms that respect what your body already knows. Your eyes are not obsolete. They're wise. They've seen storms, cities, births, farewells. They're simply asking for the same thing you ask for every morning, a fair start, a slower rise, a little grace. And maybe that's the new definition of care at this stage of life. Not doing more, but doing differently. Not chasing youth, but honoring rhythm. We used to measure health by speed, how fast we could recover, adapt, perform. But there's another kind of intelligence living quietly in your body now. It doesn't compete. It coordinates. And when you learn to move with it, you begin to see that aging isn't decline, it's refinement. The light doesn't get harsher. You just learn to meet it honestly. 5 minutes of stillness. 10 seconds of morning grace. 1 blink remembered. That's how recalibration begins, not with more control, but with permission. We don't lose the world as we grow older. We just start seeing it in its true brightness, once we stop fighting the light. We began in the car, didn't we? The same road, the same light, the same quiet resistance. Now imagine that moment again, the glare hitting the windshield, the small panic in your chest. Except this time, you don't rush to lower the visor. You simply breathe and let the light settle. The difference isn't in the sun. It's in us. We've learned that our eyes aren't betraying us, they're translating time. They're showing us what honesty looks like in color, what patience feels like in brightness. And maybe that's what aging really is, not losing sharpness, but gaining permission to see gently. Because light never meant harm. It was always an invitation, to wake, to notice, to remember. The fear we carry doesn't come from the glare outside, but from the belief that being slower means being less. It doesn't. It means we've earned the right to pace ourselves with the morning. Every day, we're surrounded by stories that tell us to fight change, to filter, to hide, to chase. But what if the real strength lies in alignment, not resistance? In saying, I don't need to see everything at once. I just need to see what's real. When you pause like that, the world softens with you. Colors return. Faces become warmer. You start to recognize the dignity in the smallest adjustments, the kind you once dismissed as ordinary. Turning off a screen. Lifting your eyes toward a window. Letting yourself be guided, not blinded, by light. We are all learning to see again, each in our own way. The doctor who found daylight between rounds. The driver who stopped racing the sun. And you, sitting here, remembering a moment when your own eyes hesitated and told you, quietly, listen. The light that once frightened you. It's still the same light that painted every morning you've ever loved. It never stopped belonging to you. So maybe tomorrow, when it arrives again, gold and sharp and honest. You won't flinch. You'll let it in. You'll meet it halfway. Not as a test. As a truce. Because your body never betrayed you. It only waited for you to listen. And if this story found a quiet place inside you, if it reminded you of someone who once said, the light feels different these days, share it with them. Not to warn them. To reassure them. To tell them that slowing down doesn't mean falling behind, it means catching up with yourself. Leave a comment if you've noticed the same shift. If mornings look brighter, sharper, or simply different now. Your story might be the one someone else needs to see the light more gently. Save this for the next time you wake and squint at the sun. Come back when you need to remember that what feels like fading is often just the beginning of clarity. And if you want to keep exploring how dignity, science, and real stories intertwine, subscribe, stay with us, and let's keep walking toward the kind of light we no longer fear. Because the world doesn't need fewer bright mornings. It needs more eyes brave enough to open to them.